me, for example, better than Ayrton, or Ayrton would think of something suit me better than Alain, you know. At the end, it could also become a psychology. If you have a briefing, you know, there's no way that I could go out of the briefing before Ayrton. And Ayrton could not go out of the briefing before me anyway. You know, so we're going out together.
I waited for 4.5 hours outside the motorhome while they were having this minute discussion about this and that. And then the door opened and Alain Prost came out. He came down the steps and I said, Alain, in God's name, what do you talk about in there for 4.5 hours? And he said, oh, Murray, he said, this and that, but I do not like to be the first to leave.
The intense nature of the battle between the two McLaren teammates led to a deterioration in their personal relationship. Other teams and drivers were simply not at the same level, so Senna and Prost focused on one another, both in and out of the car.
But that was part of the fight we had anyway. Everything was tough. On the track, outside the track, setting up the car, all kind of things was really just at the limit all the time. You know? We also knew that if we were quick and fast and a winning car, that was also because of us, because of the drivers, because we were dominating, you know, Formula One. It's not pretentious to say that.
Eu acho que o Ayrton e o Alain foram pessoas que precisavam muito uma da outra, porque para eles poderem desenvolver os próprios potenciais no top, né, da forma mais perfeita, a competição do outro ajudou justamente a chegar nesse desenvolvimento máximo. Acho que o Ayrton não seria o que ele foi sem um Alain Prost. E vice-versa. Acho que o Alain não teria sido o que ele foi sem o Ayrton Senna. Uma vez perguntaram para o Ayrton se ele tinha inimigos. E eu acho que o Ayrton respondeu uma das coisas mais lindas que ele respondeu em todas as suas muitas entrevistas. Ele disse que a vida era muito curta para se ter inimigos. Então, eu acho que, às vezes, a vida é mais curta ainda do que a gente pensa, como aconteceu com ele. Eu acho que essa frase é perfeita, seja no momento que ele e o Alain eram inimigos, né? Ou depois, que nem eram, mas para qualquer condição como essa, eu acho que essa frase é perfeita.
When you are under a lot of pressure, in a critical moment, in a championship or in a particular race, it's the one that can put together the combination between aggressivity and calculating things that will get the best result. And you need more than anything a very clear mind to understand exactly when is the moment to be aggressive, when is the moment to be calculated. To win a championship, you need the combination of those elements in the right doses at given moments.
The lifestyle enjoyed by Ayrton was that of the rich and famous. Beautiful houses, lots of toys, and opportunities to relax. But his love of Brazil and for its people was reflected in the way they felt about him. He was idolized by the ordinary men and women in the street, and he's still idolized today.
Máximo, pessoa extraordinária, maravilhosa, foi embora muito cedo.
Vagabundo, meu, é ele!
Oh, esse pra nós aqui é o melhor do mundo. Muito legal, muita saudade dele, faz muita falta pro esporte brasileiro.
Representava muita alegria, né? Ao domingo, tinha muita emoção na grande corrida dele.
Grande piloto, tem muita alegria para nós no Brasil. É difícil ter outro piloto igual.
Ai, que beleza!
A pessoa representa tudo pro nosso país. Foi o maior ídolo, a maior glória, foi tudo.
Acho que para todos os brasileiros nós é a honra de ter uma foto dessa aqui, observar assim e ter como lembrança, né?
Ele para mim ele foi um dos melhores brasileiros do mundo e ele deve ser homenageado por todos, porque eu acho que ele foi o melhor, mesmo que ele já tenha ido.
Isso aqui representou pra gente os melhores fins de semana aqui do Brasil.
Para mim, ótimo atleta, uma ótima pessoa, ótimo ser humano e exemplo de vida.
Deu até um nó na garganta quando olhei. Isso para mim significa muito, viu? Muita saudade.
Despite the access that Ayrton had to his own slice of paradise, he was always aware that there were many Brazilians who battled not for world championships, but simply to put food on the table and keep a roof overhead. And it mattered to him more than many people knew.
Ich glaube, das war das zweite Jahr, war ich in Brasilien mit ihm dann gefahren und wir sind fast durch diese Favelas, man sieht Favelas, da sieht man diese Armut, oder, auf der anderen Seite und du arbeitest mit jemandem, der mit seinem eigenen Flugzeug und der alles hat und so weiter. Sag ich, wie ist das? Hast du kein Problem? Wie geht es dir, wenn du dieses siehst, oder? Da habe ich gemerkt, jetzt sind wir auf einem anderen Punkt dieser Unterhaltung, oder? Und er hat gesagt, Josef, mich stört das total, diese Korruption, diese Schwierigkeiten, diese Leute. Ich habe wirklich eine Wut oder eine Trauer, wenn ich sehe, wie diese Leute leiden, oder? Aber ich bin noch nicht stark genug, ich bin noch nicht mächtig genug, dass ich was ändern kann, oder? Und da hat sich gezeigt, in welche Richtung dieser Mann eigentlich gehen will, oder? Dieses Rennfahren, dieses schnell zu fahren, dieses an das Limit zu gehen, ist einfach nur eine Brücke oder ein Wagen, ein Fahrzeug gewesen, um in diese Richtung, wo er hinkommen wollte, ist. Das ist auch ein Prozess von ihm selber gewesen, wahrscheinlich, oder?
I think the best remembrance I had was when I stayed with him that weekend in his house, in his farm, and we had a storm, and the lights and the telephone went out of order. And I needed to phone my wife, who was in Scotland. So we went out, and we found a telephone box. So I phoned my wife, and he went outside. It was dark, and he was standing under a light, a street lamp, and some kids had seen him and recognized him, and by then he had 20 or 30 children around him, and he was chatting to them and signing the autographs for them. And when I came out of the telephone box, that's one of the sweetest memories I have of him, standing with the light playing on his head and shoulders and surrounded by the kids and being so nice to them.
Dois meses antes do acidente, o Ayrton me procurou e disse que ele gostaria de fazer alguma coisa para ajudar crianças e jovens e me pediu para pensar a respeito e a gente voltaria a conversar. Só que essa segunda conversa não pôde acontecer, porque logo depois, 2 meses após isso, já aconteceu o acidente e então minha família e eu decidimos levar adiante essa ideia e plantar essa semente que o Ayrton deixou e foi assim que nasceu o Instituto Ayrton Senna. Dividir, compartilhar uma coisa que ele teve a chance de ter, mas que a maioria das crianças brasileiras não teve, que se chama oportunidade. Oportunidade de ter educação, de ter saúde, de ter futuro e esperança.
Ayrton's standout amongst Grand Prix drivers was that he knew there was something outside Formula One. And I think he made that his mission in Formula One, to build himself a platform so that he could express how he felt about things to do with humanity, things to do with people. And maybe his approach within Formula One was ruthless sometimes, maybe not humanitarian even. But there's no question that what he felt was a deep empathy with mankind and with the problems in the world.
We are made of emotions. We are all looking for emotions, basically. It's only a question of finding the way to experience them. There are many different ways of experiencing emotions. Perhaps one different thing, only that one particular thing that Formula One can provide you is that you know you are always exposed to danger. Danger of getting hurt, danger of dying.
Travel was a major factor in Senna's life. To ease the strain, he acquired his own aircraft and employed the services of a private pilot. Over a period of 4.5 years, Owen Omani got to know his employer extremely well.
Very often we used to go backwards and forwards to Brazil, and we'd leave São Paulo at 10:30 at night, and Ayrton would lay out the bed at the back of the aircraft, go to sleep in his pyjamas, and we'd shut the door. And then first thing, 7 o'clock in the morning, I used to come back to the cabin, wake Ayrton up, and we'd be landing in England at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. He'd be as fresh as a daisy, and of course we were totally shattered. My compliment to him is to say that he was big enough to be little, if you understand what I'm saying.
In April 1994, Owen flew Senna to the Imola circuit for the San Marino Grand Prix.
A Imola Ayrton si è sempre trovato in maniera particolare, come sul circuito di casa. Da allora, dopo l'84, Ayrton Senna ha conquistato 8 pole position in 10 anni. Ha cominciato con le Lotus e poi con la serie incredibile con McLaren, per finire con Williams, e anche l'ultimo anno in cui lui corse a Imola era chiaramente in pole position. Lui era solito scendere non a Imola città, ma soggiornava a Castel San Pietro, dove c'era un albergo che gli piaceva particolarmente, aveva la pista per l'atterraggio dell'elicottero, era particolarmente chiaro. Era l'Hotel Castello dove lui e la sua squadra risiedevano.
Era una persona comunque molto, molto semplice, dolce e soprattutto riservato. Infatti chiedeva spesso di mangiare qui da noi nel ristorante, però voleva magari l'ultimo tavolo, quello più nascosto, più diciamo lontano dalle persone.
The whole weekend was terrible. I mean, when first of all the accident of Ruben Barrichello. Then the day after, Roland Ratzenberg, and Ayrton only met him the day before, because he was his first Grand Prix, and he was very upset about it.
The team manager for Ratzenberger arrived, so I had to tell the team manager what had happened, and Senna was standing alongside me when I did that, and the team manager went away, and then Ayrton got very, very upset and cried a bit. And that's when I said to him, you know, Ayrton, you've been 3 times world champion, you're the fastest man in the world, and you like fishing.